How you going? Today I'm cooking up something I haven't made for about 15 years. It's a simple chicken stew, but it's incredibly rich and tasty. I used to make it all the time when the boys were growing up. They all loved it. We used to call it chicken yummy. The reason for that name is because it was so yummy. You're going to love it. Okay, so there's the required ingredients. I got some streaky bacon, about 200 grams approximately, maybe a tad more. I've got carrot, I've got onion, I've got chorizos. Chorizo's just been sliced up. Onion, carrot and the bacon, all just roughly chopped. I've got some potatoes, one large potato, just washed, left the skin on it. That's all just been roughly chopped up. And chicken thigh. I like to use the chicken thigh. Anyway, once again, just roughly chopped up. Doesn't have to be small. Better off nice and chunky. Of course, chicken stock. I've got the salt reduced version. Always get that. Shouldn't be any salt in there. Now, the chicken will be the last thing that goes in pretty much when everything else is cooked, because it doesn't take long to cook. I've got that sitting in the fridge. Potatoes just sitting in water at the moment so they don't discolour while we wait for them. Anyway, let's get started. Righto, so we got the pan on the stove. A little bit of olive oil in it. Not too hot. Add in the chorizo first up. We just want to lightly fry them. Get a little bit of colour. So not too hot, you don't want to burn it. Only takes a few minutes. Love the smell of chorizos. So just a little bit of colour just to get them started cooking. Next thing will be the carrots. They're going to take the longest time out of almost everything to cook. Just chuck them in with the chorizo. Just stir around. You don't want to colour the carrots at all. Just starting the cooking, starting to soften them up, starting to convert the acids to sugars. Doesn't take long. While that's happening, I'll just drain off my potatoes so that they're ready. Alright, that's about enough of that. Put in the onion now. Once again, we're not colouring it. We're just starting the cooking process. Process that's basically called sweating. Knock back the heat a little bit so it doesn't burn. Just want to cook it until the onion starts to give a little bit of transparency. Try to break up some of the bigger lumps a bit. As you can see, the transparency is starting around the edges now. That's about all it needs. Next up, the streaky bacon. All you really need to do at this stage is just evenly mix it all. Smells great. This freaky bacon's got a beautiful smoky smell to it. You see those chorizos are getting a lovely bit of colour on them now. And we put in the potato. At this point, I'll also put in a small amount of ground white pepper. I'm not going to put any salt into it at the moment. That'll be the last thing to test at the end to see if it needs the salt. Because you got the chorizos, which got a fair bit of salt in them. You got the bacon that's fairly salty. Plus, this packaged chicken stock, well, it says salt reduced, but there is still salt in it. Shouldn't be any, but that's just the way they make it. Nothing much I can do about that. Anyway, the stock's in there. Turn it up. And cover it. So now we're just waiting for it to come to the boil. Once it's boiled, we'll put it to a smaller element at the back of the stove and just leave it to slowly simmer for about 40 minutes, maybe 50 minutes. Just make sure the potatoes are cooked and the carrot and onion cooked and all starting to dissolve to give some consistency to the sauce. Anyway, we'll get back to you once it's boiled. Alright, so we've started boiling. Just turn that off, push it to a smaller one at the back. Get things covered up by the stock as much as possible, especially the potato. Stick the lid back on. So we don't want to reduce down the stock, but we do want to cook everything. So just leave it covered for the entire time. We'll forget about it for 40 minutes and come back and we'll add in the chicken and finish it off. I'll probably put a big dollop of sour cream in it just to finish it off at the end. So it's just a very slow simmer for 40 minutes. And it's not even midday yet, so it's a little bit too early to be doing a toast to Keith, so we'll have to leave the one out of it today. Sorry, Keith. Right, see you in about 40 minutes. Okay, I'm back. So everything's been cooking up nicely for about 40 minutes now. It's time to uncover it, get a bit more heat happening through it and get the chicken in to start cooking it. So I'll move it back up to the front, turn the heat up, turn the back one off. And in goes the chicken. Give it a mix round. We'll leave the heat up a bit, bring it back to the boil. And then we'll want to reduce it down a little bit while the chicken cooks. Looking good. As soon as the chicken's cooked, we're going to put in a nice big dollop of sour cream. Chicken will take about 10 minutes. All started boiling up nicely again. Just turn the heat down a little bit so it doesn't boil too violently, because That'll just make the chicken go a little bit tough, which you don't really want. By the time the chicken's cooked, that'll be simmered down a little bit more to give it a bit more thickness and consistency. And the sour cream should just finalise that nicely. Right, my chicken's just about done. Stick a bit more heat in it, boil it up a bit quicker. Looks like I've been let down by potatoes again. They're very cooked. But they're just not breaking up like they should, and obviously not that much starch. So it's not quite as thick as what I'd really like, but really doesn't matter. It's going to be great anyway. So now, sour cream. A couple of nice big spoonfuls of it. And I'll call that done. So I've got some spinach on a plate. I'll turn that off the heat. Move it over there. Chicken yummy. Now don't be too upset that it's a bit thin. It really should be served on a bed of rice or some pasta to absorb all the liquid. Just I'm watching the carbohydrates, trying to get rid of this thing a little bit. So I'm just having it as it is. Now for the taste test. Okay. Just a bit of chicken first, a bit of the sauce. Beautiful. Chicken and chorizo this time. Stick a bit of bacon on it too. I can't describe how sensational it is. It is excellent. So you got your spinach, got your carrot, got your potato, there's some onion in there. Your mum can't say you're not eating your veggies. It's beautiful. If you have it on rice, it's going to be fantastic. Alright, I'm going to go suck this down. See you next time.